Hi everyone, it's Steve. In today's video, we're going to be covering results of my latest test and hopefully answer the question, how long can an Anker SOLIX C2000 Gen 2 power my refrigerator? Let's find out. Now I'd like to start out by giving a quick background on my refrigerator itself and its usage. It's a Kenmore 26.2 cubic foot vertical side-by-side refrigerator freezer manufactured in July of 2004. It's my home's only refrigerator, and with 4 adults it gets plenty of usage. So because of this, testing is being done during real usage, meaning it's being accessed anytime versus a controlled lab style test. Now, I only mention this because the results will be affected by the opening and closing of the refrigerator. Now with that, let's get started. Testing was done in 2 parts. First, to determine how many hours my refrigerator would actually need to run to reach a desired kilowatt hour, and we'll have more on that shortly. And second, how long can the C2000 Gen 2 power my refrigerator? Now, I attempted to test this a couple of times previously, but based on the fluctuations of the watts that were being drawn, and then the remaining time that was displaying on the actual C2000 Gen 2 display itself and in the app, plus feedback from other Anker SOLIX users, I went ahead and I purchased a watt meter to get me some actual usage info for the refrigerator itself. Now, the first thing I needed to decide is, what is the number of total kilowatt hours that I'm trying to reach with my refrigerator freezer? I know the total kilowatt hours listed for the Anker SOLIX C2000 Gen 2 is 2.048. Since the C2000 Gen 2 will run down and shut off at about 91% when it gets down to 1%, I figured anything close to 2.03 kilowatt hours would suffice. So I plugged the fridge in to the watt meter and I began testing on October 18th, 11:11 p.m. and I ended on October 19th at 7:53 p.m. After running for 20 hours and 42 minutes, the refrigerator used 2.031 kilowatt hours, or an average of about 98.12 watts per hour. Knowing that I approximately had 20 hours of runtime based on the part 1 test results, that meant that I could at least feel comfortable running it for that amount of time without worrying about the C2000 Gen 2 shutting off, or the fridge itself turning off, or not knowing or recording the actual end time for the length of the test. So with the fridge connected to the Anker SOLIX C2000 Gen 2, I began the test on October 20th at 11:45 a.m. and that ran through until the C2000 Gen 2 went down to 1% shut down. It ended the test on October 21st at 11:10 a.m. Knowing the total capacity to reach was somewhere around 2.03 kilowatt hours, and the total runtime of the this part 2 test was 23 hours and 25 minutes, which, by the way, was impressively just over 2.5 hours more than the part 1 test runtime. We can actually calculate an average of about 86.58 watts per hour, or, which is pretty cool, an improvement of nearly 12 watts per hour compared to the part 1 test. Now, after all of this, after all of these numbers and all this information, you've got to be asking yourself, because I was wondering the same thing. Hey Steve, what have you actually learned from all of these numbers and results? Well, other than offering the typical yet true, results may vary based on conditions and equipment, in my situation, I couldn't reach the 32 hours of runtime. So does that mean that it can't power a refrigerator for 32 hours? Absolutely not, not at all. Though I feel that my fridge, performed pretty well, given that it's 21 years old and ran for nearly 24 hours using the Anker SOLIX C2000 Gen 2. A newer, maybe more efficient fridge could certainly be powered for up to 32 hours or more. Also, in an extended outage situation, some of us would methodically power cycle our refrigerator anyway to try to go well past those 32 hours of runtime. I hope this information was useful to you guys, or at least somewhat informative. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.